Hi, good evening, everybody. I hope you are well, all of you. And can someone confirm me if I'm audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
can hear you.
Perfect. Perfect. I will share my screen and I would request someone to, uh, okay, Himani, are you there? I think I cannot share my screen. Okay, so please confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. That's great. So I will very quickly. So we're all aware of what happiness is, right? We all know what this is. But the thing is, unfortunately, we've given so much of attention to being happy, that we've forgotten the meaning of little joys that we get that passes us by, right? We're all just chasing a big bumper size happiness. So today I'll try and help each one of you understand that happiness is not something that, that will find a time and space in your life and then it will come in a big, grand way. I'll help each one of you understand that happiness is in all those small little things that we miss each day. So I would request each one of you to be on mute mode. And if you have any questions, we can take them at the end of the webinar. So I genuinely want to invite each one of you to this very different way of understanding happiness. Most of us are conditioned to believe that happiness is tied to huge, big events, promotions, weddings, fancy vacations, awards. And while these definitely give us, bursts of joy, I don't say that these are not things that doesn't make us happy. It does give those bursts. But then they fade away quickly. They come and then they go. So in our language, in psychology, this is called hedonic adaptation. Okay, it's called hedonic adaptation. So we'll come to that also. It's a very interesting theory. Don't be scared of the names of the theory. What I would rather insist that understand the theory, understand the logic. Names are not important. We are not here to give any exams. Okay. Now our brain, it gets used to pleasure and then happiness wears off gradually. I'll explain how. But then, what science, spirituality, and even lived experiences show us is that true well being doesn't come from chasing the next big thing. Yeah? The next one. What is the next big thing that I'm going to achieve or make or find? No. But from cultivating micro moments of joy. You cultivate these moments. You create them. Yeah, you cherish them, you accumulate them over time. That is where the real happiness lies. It's like an ongoing thing. It's not like wedding happened and poof, gone. Vacation, 6 days happiness, gone. No. The micro moments are something that you create every day. So then the reservoir for that is never empty. So how do we do that? Let's understand how do we do that. Now, these small fleeting experiences, let's say a smile, a compliment, a kind gesture, or maybe sometimes you share a big laugh with a friend. The fun element of that laughter won't be that much humorous, but then you just laugh and laugh. It's just a silly thing your friend says, and you just can't stop laughing. That's called shared laugh. But they have deep psychological, biological, and relational impact. These small little moments, they have huge impact compared to the big events. So now we'll explore today step by step how we weave these moments into real life. I'll share some real life stories with each one of you, and then that becomes easier for us to understand. Okay, I don't know how many of you have watched this movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. Um, okay, it's a Hollywood blockbuster. So oh, I'm so sorry about that noise. So it's a Hollywood blockbuster based on a real life story. This guy's name is Howard Gardner. So Howard Gardner, he was a psychologist. He was very well known for multiple intelligence. Okay, he developed a theory called multiple intelligence. He once reflected that his most, so who was Howard Gardner? Basically, he was a man who was really struggling hard in his youth days. He had a child. His wife had left him because he was not able to make it big. And then, because he was not able to make it big, she just walked away on him. She fell in love with another man who was more financially stable. While Howard was really struggling to make it big in broker firm, in stock market. Okay, but he could never find a job somewhere. He could never retain a job somewhere. Now, while he was struggling, he also had a little child to take care of. Can you imagine that? Your wife is gone, you don't have money, you can't pay your bills, and then you have a little toddler to be looked after. No family support, no social support, no money, nothing. In spite of this, how did he make it big? What helped him survive this storm? Yeah, let's understand what. So once when he was reflecting after he made it big in his life, he said that the most rewarding moments of his career were not the rewards or the recognition, but the times when he witnessed his students discover joy in learning. Okay, when he found that his students enjoy what he teaches them. So, gardeners remind us that intelligence and happiness appear in different ways for different people. For a musician, joy is melody. For a mathematician, it is in solving complex problems. For a child, it's just eating an ice cream. Okay, so happiness means different things to different people. No, there is no right or wrong in happiness. What is the psychology? So Gardner's story suggests that individual differences in emotional experiences, how you experience the stage of your life. If I'm in a similar stage, I would experience it differently. You experience it differently. Okay, so positive psychology shows that happiness is not one size fitting all. Like I said, a child likes an ice cream, a musician would like a musical instrument. So we all have different sources of happiness. Okay, we all have different happiness triggers. And these triggers are based on our strengths and our values. So my strength is I'm a musician, or my strength is I'm a psychologist. So what is my happiness trigger? When I see my patients recovering, it makes me so happy. When I find a new book to read, it makes me so happy. So your triggers could be different. Now, and what is the biological underpinning? So there's a reward circuit in the brain. Okay, that basically helps you produce those happy hormones. Okay, there's a biological reason also. Then there's social also. Communities thrive when they are together. So when you're socially connected to other people, you have good neighbors, you have supportive relatives, you have loving friends. This also creates a lot of moments of happiness. So this is what Howard Gardner was stories explains us that his experience of his situation, his happiness triggers were not in the big achievements that he made. It was actually in the small moments of happiness when he saw his students enjoying what he was teaching. That was the most happy, moments for his in his entire career. Okay. So I'm just creating a base for where we are heading to. Now let's try and understand a little more life stories. So Oprah Winfrey, I hope you all know she's a very very popular face. She says that turning point of her life was starting a gratitude journal. Okay, so these are tools for micro moments of happiness. So when she started a gratitude journal, her life turned around. She came from a very poor family. She had a mother who was alcoholic. She didn't know who his father was till she grew up for college. She had no money to eat, no money to support her family. And mother was not only alcoholic, she had an abusive mother. But look where she is today. Just by using gratitude journal. Instead of chasing happiness, she began to notice it. Imagine such a simple thing. We all run after happiness. Dinner, let's plan a dinner, let's plan a catch-up party, let's wait for Diwali, let's this, let's that. You have to stop chasing it. You have to hit a pause and you have to start noticing things happening around. There'll come a time when you will even thank your own body for being healthy. You'll thank your mates for showing up every day so you could achieve your dreams and live a comfortable life. You will thank your pots that are in the balcony for making that zone so serene and relaxing after a long day at work. Yeah. So once the gratitude kicks in, your outlook to everything changes. You start noticing happiness. That's what gratitude does. Yeah. Instead of missing it out. So all of us, we miss happiness. Steve Jobs famously credited a calligraphy class. You know what calligraphy is? So Steve Jobs, he picked up a hobby. Oprah picked up gratitude journal. Steve Jobs picked a hobby. Hobby is a very important part of your existence. It is very important to know what you enjoy doing the most. What is that one task that relaxes you, that de-stresses you, that brings a child out in you? Okay, you all must identify that. So Steve Jobs said that calligraphy class is one of the most joyful experiences of his youth. He loved doing that. The micro movement later influenced, obviously, Apple's iconic design, teaching us that small curiosities can shape destiny. Okay, curious. You have to be curious. So Dalai Lama, he says compassion. Compassion is the key to happiness. See, they all have different happiness triggers. I'm sharing this with you so that you could identify yours. So he said compassion, not only for others, but for self. Self-love, not being selfish. Self-love is not being selfish. A lot of people get confused by self-love. They think only take care of yourself, love yourself, and let everybody else go to hell. That's not self-love. Okay. So compassion, not only to others, but to your own self. His laughter and warmth in daily interactions are testimony that micro moments of happiness can be created. So each of these figures, they found happiness not in the grand milestones, but in the journey, in everyday practice, like a hobby, like practicing compassion, like maintaining a gratitude journal. There must be some truth to it. Yeah, that's why they shared these things with us so that we could be inspired. So, what is the psychology of happiness? What is happiness? So, I'll just touch upon these most simplest theories for all of us to understand. So, the broaden build theory was developed by a psychologist called Barbara. What she proposes is that positive emotions broadens and a person's immediate thought action reservoir. So I have a thought action box in my head. We all have a thought action box, all of us. Positive psychology, it broadens that box. And the cognitive flexibility means our adaptability to situation. Oh, tough time. We don't sit down and we don't give up and we are like, okay, now how do I deal with this? No. Adaptability is okay. You have tough time, you solve the problem. You must solve the problem. That is called cognitive adaptability, cognitive flexibility. So he says that this helps an individual perceive more options. So your thought action box becomes bigger because of positivity, positive thinking. The thought action box becomes bigger. And when that becomes bigger, you start seeing options that will solve your problem. You start finding solutions. Okay, it increases the possibilities for success, for overcoming struggles. So this broadened perspective then allows for the building of personal resources. When thought action box becomes bigger, our personal resources like intellectual, social, physical skills, they start increasing. So positive psychology is an upward spiral. It takes you up. So the two components in this theory is broaden and build. And what do you broaden? When experiencing positive emotions like joy, interest, love, your mind opens. When you're happy, you're experiencing such emotions, your mind opens and becomes your attention becomes focused on immediate, your attention becomes less focused on immediate threats. When your mind opens because you're experiencing something good, your focus on small threats reduces. You ignore them. Okay, you start ignoring them. And as you ignore them, you become more receptive to finding better experiences. Okay, that is what this does. It broadens your awareness. That allows you to take in more of your positive environment. That's what positive psychology does. Okay. Then building, what do you build here? You build resources. Once you've broadened your psychological what do you say, reservoir, your thought action bucket, you start building the resources. Intellectual resource will build because your focus from the threats have moved away. You're more open to new options. You explore options. Then you will build on intellectual resources, social resources, physical resources. Let me learn a skill. Let me do a class. Yeah, you start doing that to yourself. So that is what this is, broad and build theory. See, positive emotions, they broaden your awareness, which means your thought action tendency increases. Novel thoughts, activities, relationships, they all improve. Then you build personal resources, which is you enhance your resilience. You know how to fight with struggles. You want to study, you want to gain new skills, and then your survival becomes stronger. See what happiness does, see what positivity does. And then this offers you opportunities of more positive emotions that leads to further upward spiral. Okay, this is broad and build theory. Isn't it interesting? I personally find it very interesting. So that's what positivity does to you. When you start writing a gratitude journal, this is how your psychology starts shaping up. When you start practicing a hobby, which is a positive emotion, this is what starts happening to you. When you start noticing little happiness, this is what happens to you. This is how your psychological flexibility starts adapting. Now, this is the second one is called flow. Now, what is flow? It describes that the optimal psychological state of flow or being in the moment. Have you seen little children? When they are playing in mitti or when they are eating an ice cream, they are just in the moment. They don't care who's watching them. Ice cream is spilling all over the face, clothes. They are just with the ice cream in the zone, enjoying. You see that glow in their face? But as we grow up, we start wearing masks. And we have so much of pretense to be done. We are so conscious about how I'm looking, what others are thinking about me, how they will judge me. Am I doing it right? We get so caught up with these things that we are never in the zone. We are never in the moment. This is the in the moment psychology. Okay. So being in the zone characterized by intense focus, full absorption, and enjoyment of the activity. When was the last time you experienced this? I can challenge, no one would have done this. Being in the moment, where one's skills perfectly matches the challenging task. Whatever you're doing, it just matches what you can do with that event. So this concept was developed by Mihaly. It occurs when challenges and skills are balanced. let's say there is some struggle in your life, there's some challenge in your life, but you have skills to counter them. Okay, you have skills to counter them. And how does that happen? Once you have skills that can counter the struggles, your performance heightens. Look at the graph, the challenge level and the skill level. Your performance will heighten. A distortion of time and intrinsically motivated engagement. So achieving flow requires a clear goal and immediate feedback with a minimal distraction. So there is a struggle. I have skills to achieve it. And what is it that you have to keep away from your struggle? The immediate feedback is something that you require and a clear goal. These are the two things that you require while being in this situation. So your focus gets energized. There's a loss of self-consciousness, a fading of self-reflection, and awareness of surroundings. So when a child is eating an ice cream, they have to finish. It's a task, right? And the skill is that they can eat it. They know how to eat it. And they completely forget what is happening in the surroundings. So I'm giving you this example because it is easily relatable. You could take it to possibly, let's say that you have exams, okay, and you are in your room trying to memorize the chapter or prepare for your exam. And then you have cousins who are out in the living room, they are yapping and partying around. There is a struggle, right? And then you have skills. What is that? You focusing. You're motivated to prepare well. You're motivated to perform well. So no matter whatever the distraction is in the surrounding, you are fully absorbed in your task because you have that psychological skill of being focused and having concentration. Okay, and while you're doing this, I'm not saying you're enjoying it, but you know the outcome of your exams, the result, that will be the joyous thing for you. So for that motivation, so this is called flow. For that motivation, see from where you get there, which is of course a very interesting psychology here. Then it becomes effortless. It doesn't feel like I'm putting so much effort in order to stay focused because your end goal is very clear. So there are two requirements. You have to have an end goal and there has to be immediate feedback to your own self. Okay, so then that is how you balance the challenge with your skill. So the activity must be well defined with short-term objectives. And that is how, in the end, you achieve your desired goal, which will lead to happiness. Okay, this is how the challenge level and the skill levels, optimum synchrony. How do we balance both of these graphs? Creates the flow in which you are present in the moment, in where the surrounding distractions are absolutely faded and you are enjoying the activity that you're doing. So we know all these distractions. We know what anxiety is, arousal is, boredom is, relaxation. We understand what each one of this is. So when you cross these, you get to flow, which is a state in which people are completely focused on their task. This is the flow theory. Now we move to the one that I spoke about, the hedonic adaptation. It is called a treadmill. You know what treadmill is? In the gym, you would have seen people run on it continuously. They're running, but they're not able to reach anywhere. So what life does to us is, it shows that there's this psychological phenomena where people quickly return to the stable baseline of happiness after experiencing major positive or major negative things in life. We all eventually, later or sooner, we always hit the base level of happiness. Now, this occurs because humans tend to get used to new circumstances. We get used to it over time. Okay, this is called adaptability. It is again very important for survival. So this leads to emotions, both good and bad, eventually losing their intensity and having a diminishing effect on long-term well-being. So how does it work? So after a significant change, let's say promotion, or maybe there's loss of job, there is an initial emotional reaction. So let's say if you see a snake, you're so scared. The initial emotional reaction is fear, right? Then you speak about it, you get home and you talk to your mother about it. When you're talking to her, you'll be less scared. When you saw the snake, your fear must be from 0 to 10, it must be 10, 9. But when you're talking to your mother about it after 10, 15 minutes, it comes down to 7.5. Then you speak to your friend before going to bed on the phone and you tell her that this is what you experienced. It goes down to 6. Then the next day you meet your classmates or college mates or office colleagues and you share this with them. At that point of time, you would be laughing about it. So see, the initial reaction of an unhappy event was so strong, which within 24 hours faded away to a laugh at the cafeteria. Yeah. So this is what that's it is applicable to happiness also. Go to a vacation, you're so excited before the vacation, so excited. The graph is up there. Then you reach London, and then okay, you feel better. Then you spend 2, 3 days, okay, better. Then you come back home and it's gone. Poof. You're back to the base level of happiness. So these theories explains that the big happiness that you're all chasing, it is not worth it. It will not last. You will have to instead cultivate small moments of joy. They are less exhausting and more lasting. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm taking you through this happiness theories to understand. Now, yeah, that's essentially what a treadmill effect is. So in treadmill effect, what happens? People keep chasing new experiences to maintain happiness. Abhi vacation se I came back. Okay, now I'm at the baseline. From vacation, now I'm at the baseline. Now I want to go back again. Let me go for shopping. Okay, I did shopping. I did 30, 40, 50,000 of shopping. I'm feeling good for 1 day, 2 day, then again baseline. Okay, what can I do now? Maybe I can go for a nice fancy dinner with my friends. Then okay, come back now. Now what do I do? Maybe I go to a salon. Yeah, you see those chasing happiness because I have to go back to the upper point of the graph. And unfortunately, however up you go, you will always hit the baseline. And then what do? Yeah, you look at the moments of joy, the small little moments of joy that are just passing you by while you are chasing the bigger ones. So that is what I'm trying to get your attention to. And I hope I'm getting you all there. I'm not sure, but I hope. Now, the biology of happiness. We all know that our happiness is that our brain, our biology is wired for happiness, but not just through grand success, not big things, small joys. That triggers powerful neurochemicals. Look at the examples. A hug. And you know what? You should hug for 20 seconds because the brain starts producing oxytocin only after 20 seconds. You just don't hug and leave. That doesn't produces the hormone. When you kiss more than 6 seconds. Again, the serotonin will not be produced if you kiss for 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Okay, so be in the moment. Those small little happinesses, look at the examples. They're all little. Do you see anywhere an international holiday, a diamond ring, or I don't know, those fancy stuff, or like big, huge things mentioned here, waiting 10 years for a promotion to be happy? And then you lose out on so much. So these are those small little things that genuinely produces those neurochemicals that brings happiness to you. So even love, relationship, sexual activity, everything is done for the production of hormones. We need to be happy because we are wired for happiness. Because happiness is important for our survival. Okay. So this is the biology of happiness. Now we move to the social dimension. So there was a research that was conducted in Harvard University that said that people who have relationships in life, relatives, parents, people who have a happy neighborhood, people who have a decent social circle, they live much longer than the ones who are more reserved, less outgoing, less socializing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a wrong thing. It's just a research that shows social happiness is so much more important for survival, and it increases your life. So social happiness is contagious. Study shows emotions spread through social networks. If your friend becomes happier, your chances of happy increases. Right? It's contagious. If someone in my family achieves something, I'm happy too. So that increases. Then in India, we have these festivals, right? These are perfect examples for social happiness. These are structured micro moments of joy. These are also micro moments, but they are structured. Now for Diwali, you go out to buy diya, such a small, very, very lame activity, but you're so excited, so happy to do that. वो तीज में you get mehendi done on your palm and set up a nice stall. Such small little activities. All the family members get together. They go to the mandir and all. Such small. These are all structured micro moments of joy. Yeah. You share food, colors in Holi, music. This creates a collective sense of happiness that strengthens your social bond. So small micro moments of joy during festivals, they create those moments of bond and happiness and joy. So even like sharing a meal, if you're in office, you're sitting in cafeteria with your dabba or in college and you're sharing a meal with your friend, chatting, it gives you so much pleasure. You make cake and you take it to your neighbor and you say, oh, this is for you. That's a little small gesture. It's so much happiness. That's how you cultivate happiness. You cultivate those moments every day. Okay. Then these interactions will really save you from isolation. It will save you from loneliness. It will save you from hopelessness and anxiety. Okay. Regularly cultivating those little moments, tiny moments. Then there is a relational dimension I spoke about. Relational as in friends, mother, son, husband, wife, any kind of relationship. Micro moments matter so much more than grand gestures in relationships. Always. So Gottman was a research who says that couples who stay together and report happiness aren't the ones who buy expensive gifts, but those who maintain emotional bank account. Okay. As a couple, you have to maintain an emotional bank account. You have to compliment each other every day. You never leave your house without kissing your partner, which should last more than 6 seconds, like I said, otherwise it's a waste. Yeah, so that emotional bank account is so much more important to maintain that marriage for all those long years. Every smile, a kind word, a compliment, a thank you, magic words, the magic words, please and thank you, an affectionate touch, just holding a hand or maybe just brushing the hair of your partner or your son. Yeah, just a tap on the shoulder, chote chote gestures. When you see somebody's looking good, walk up to them, give them a compliment. It's not a bad thing, right? Abusing someone is a bad thing, but complimenting someone. So today I did that. I was at the gym and there was this lady who comes at the gym and every day, I think she's a social media influencer or someone, and every day she comes in the gym wearing a new gym suit, which is very fancy and very fancy, very attractive. She looks very beautiful in that. And for a few months, I wanted to really compliment her, but I wasn't sure, how she would take it. Again, you see the apprehensions. So today, I was at the Stairmaster, and that's when she walks up to me. She was asking me that, ma'am, how much more time would you be here? Very sweetly, she spoke to me. So I said, yeah, another 10 minutes or so. And then when I got down, I told her, listen, I've been really meaning to tell this to you, but you look so pretty in all the suits that you wear every day. You had to see her face. It just lit up like anything. And happiness is so contagious. When she smiled and she was so happy about it, I felt so much more good about it. And I'm sure I must be glowing equally. So see, just a little compliment. This is how you create happiness. Yeah. So just an example that I thought of, because I have this habit of complimenting people. See them. I take time, but I eventually do that. So yeah, every smile, kind word, thank you, affectionate touch, all of these are emotional deposits. in your relationships. Every time you do this, there is a check that goes in your account. Every time you do this, there's a check that is. And then when you go to the withdrawal section, you'll get loads of it. Loads of it. So emotional bank account, very important aspect in relational dimension. And it's not anniversaries or grand surprises that will hold a relationship. Birthday, anniversary, special vacation plan, accumulation of these small gestures. Okay, that is what micro moments are about. Then the practical tools, gratitude journaling, that's one. Jobs, curiosity, learning new hobbies, yeah, new skills. Compassion for yourself, others, community, animals, plants. Be compassionate. Then respecting individual joys. Everybody have different happiness triggers. Just because you are happy when you enjoy food doesn't mean that your partner will also be happy at that time. Maybe your partner would enjoy something more adventurous, maybe just listening to a song or going out on a drive. So respect that. Okay. We don't have to sulk about it. Oh, I'm happy about this and you're not. No, respect those differences. So these are some of the practical tools. Now, I would want all of you to write 3 micro moments of joy from today. Since morning till now, what were your 3 moments of joy? And then out of them, you share the best one in the chat box. Write 3 and share the best one. Micro moments. Please, I know it will take time. You will take time to think about it. You may take time. But yeah, the 3. Okay, play with pet, watering plants, meditation. Lovely, Anish. Shilpa says when I talk with my friend, perfect. I love doing art. KK says spending with close family circle, enjoying a good movie. Awesome. Samriddhi says when my kitten comes to me to have food. Ha, that's lovely. Street dog showing love, flowers blooming because of rain in my garden. Oh, I shared this with you. I also love it. Every time I go to my balcony and I see flowers, I'm so happy. I can't tell you. I want to touch each one of them, I want to feel the texture of the petals. I really try to absorb the moment as much as I can. So, Pradnya says planting. Okay, seeds. Today I collected after uh 20-day course at okay, that's nice. But most I love to do is art. Okay, play with my daughter Shivani. Yeah, that's lovely. Having tea while reading a book. Yeah, Xiaomi, I also love this. I love having tea while I'm reading. Sumisha says my kids praised about my outfit. Yeah, see that is so cute, no? So this is an emotional bank account that your children are creating for themselves. Lovely. That compliment, those kind words. Okay, cup of coffee with my garden with friends, reading books. Manjula, superb. Uh, so Samsung, I don't know whose phone is this. I'm so sorry, there's no name and there's just phone here. To listen to life stories of others, to live on situations, sometimes to make ourselves happy. Okay. Okay, but I'm talking to Samsung, huh? I'm so sorry, I don't know your name. But then try and curate those small moments of happiness. Listening to life stories, they make you happy. okay. They must be more about sharing experiences and gaining wisdom from other person's life experience. That could be that could be happiness for you for sure. But then to leave on situations sometimes to make ourselves happy. That is to make peace. When you leave things on situation, it's because you want to make peace with the situation. That is not happiness. Yeah, that is not happiness. So maybe you think a little more about those small little moments that could make you happy. Vanishri says, I purchased room bands for my daughter. We went out for that reason. Okay, that's nice. Spending time with children, listening to music. Mitali says, reading books. Saiba says, my only son gave me lots of hugs and kisses. You're so lucky. My son, he doesn't want to hug me and kiss me. I don't know, ever since he's grown up, he doesn't want to do that. I miss that so much. You're so lucky. Dr. Seema says a shared smile with the son. He's in hostel. Okay. When I talked to my son when he woke up, Priya, oh, that's nice. When I picked up my kid from school bus and kept my hand over her shoulder, that's so beautiful. Hand funny cat fight with my bro, Dr. Zubeda says, yeah, see, I'm so glad you all picked up what those small little moments are. Yeah, so I'll give you a couple of these things, small little activities. So one is called a 20-second sun bath. So whenever you feel a little lonely or low, you know what you can do? Just walk out in the sun, in the balcony, or peep outside the window and just put your face right in front of the sun for 20 minutes. Close your eyes. Sorry, 20 seconds. By 20 minutes, you'll get roasted. Not 20 minutes. 20 seconds, please. I'm so sorry, my bad. So for 20 seconds, you put your face outside in the sun. You know what that does? That activates your brain, that activates your nervous system and releases happy hormones. That relaxes your nervous system. Just 20 seconds. So that's one thing you could do. Then there is a 10-second gratitude blink. Okay, there's a 10-second gratitude blink. So what you do is whatever you're doing, just just blink for 10 seconds. You know, blinking, shutting your eyes and opening, shutting, opening. So do it 10 times. And while you're doing that, just remember that today till that moment, try to think of one thing for which you're thankful to God. You're thankful to the universe. It's called 10-second gratitude blink. Just blink for 10 times and try to think that one thing. It could be a good meal. It could be a sumptuous breakfast. It could be less traffic on the road. It could be the guard in the building wished you, greeted you. Just think of that one, or sitting in the AC. I'm sitting in the AC. Or sometimes it could be just thank you, universe, that I am alive. Thank you, universe, that I live another day and I get to spend time with my loved ones for another day. Yeah, that's called 10-second gratitude blink. Try and practice that. The moment you practice this, your stress level goes down because then you feel your focus shifts from stress to joy, to what you have. You don't think about what you do not have. Your brain shifts to what you have. Okay, that is what 10-minute gratitude, a 10-second gratitude blink does. You can also splash water on your face if you're feeling gloomy or lazy or low. We all feel that from time to time. So that cold splash on your face, it resets your vagus nerve. It resets your vagus nerve, which has parasympathetic effect. Vagus nerve is activated when we do meditation, when we do yoga, when we listen to nice music, when someone hugs us. It calms us down. That's what it does. So when you put cold water on your face, it calms you down. Yeah, the cold water activates the vagus nerve. So these are 2, 3 things that are really handy. Just a few seconds activity. You will experience the shifts in yourself, just not in the body, in the mind, in your approach towards life. And that would be really good. So if you all have any questions for me, or if you want to share anything, that would be interesting. We could share our experiences.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Ma'am, I want to share one uh, one point.
Yes.
We four ladies started something new. We four, what we did, we find out the one task which makes us happy, as you said in the starting. So, and we are connecting in the morning every day for 2 hours. And what we do is we focus on our activities. For example, I love to talk. One lady loves to do maths, another lady loves to do singing, and the fourth lady loves to do drawing. So we four started to do what we love to do. That's it. We are just doing that.
That's
And what
amazing.
what we are doing is we are starting our classes over there. I love to talk, so I talk.
Okay.
The lady that loves to draw, she starts her drawing classes. The lady that loves to sing, she takes up the kids classes and she sings rhymes to them along with teaching. And the lady who loves to do maths, she starts her teaching classes with maths Olympiad classes. So
That's
this way we are spending our 2 hours in the morning, and we are doing this activity daily. So I talk about spirituality every day for half an hour. We have set up a format. We do not talk random. We talk something positive every day. We talk about half an hour for spirituality, another 15 to 20 good minutes, any good topic. Like today, my topic is I do my homework, and then I told them, like, my homework is how to control your anger. So I took one topic, then another topic for my is today's what are the responsibilities of a housewife. So I make them understand, yeah, like we all are so special. So I told them 3 qualities of homemaker today. So they were like, oh yes, we do this.
Perfect. Yeah, Babita, that's awesome. And thank you so much for sharing this. This must be really inspiring for, I don't know about others, but it's really inspiring for me. Yeah, because to find out what gives you happiness is so difficult these days. People have forgotten what brings them happiness. And these small little things and hobbies that really interest you, if you could put into use in such a way that you could give back to the community, I think your happiness just multiplies.
Ma'am, this is my organization name. I am building an organization. My organization name is Shunya Se Upar.
Yeah.
Shunya Se Upar, I'm building an organization and its whole motto is only one. Find out the one task which you love to do and just do it and do it and do it. That's it. Don't do
Absolutely.
anything else. Just do that task. That's it. Simple.
That's great. Thank you so much,
That's my
Babita, for sharing.
organization. Yeah, I'm building, and we four are now connected, and this is how we are working.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's very inspiring. You
Thank
just
you,
shared.
ma'am.
I really appreciate. Anyone else who's
I am.
yes, please.
Uh, my name is Manjula. यस मैम, मैंने टेरेस के ऊपर गार्डन वगैरह किया है, वेजिटेबल सब उगाया है। मैं जब भी इवनिंग जाती हूँ उधर आंखें बंद करके 10 मिनट्स ऐसे ही बैठती हूँ। वो हवा आता रहता है, वो स्मेल आता रहता है। मैं चुपचाप 10 मिनट्स का क्लोज करके आईज क्लोज करके बैठती हूँ। ये कितना अच्छा लगता है। ये वर्ड इज सो ब्यूटीफुल एंड पॉजिटिविटी तो सब माइंड में आता रहता है। वो कितना अच्छा लगता है। एक्चुअली आई लव दैट मोमेंट।
Amazing, Manjula. Thank you so much. You shared your experience with us. That is how you create your micro moment of happiness. And this is exactly what we've been talking about. That's so true. Just being in the balcony, जो आपने पेड़ लगाए हैं, you just spend time there, the breeze, the smell. See, just that little moment, and you can live it again and again. Unlike the other theories that I showed, that I shared with you, where you get big burst of joy and then you're in baseline, then again big burst, then in baseline. But if you continue to create these small little moments of happiness, you'll never come to the baseline. You'll always be floating up there. And there'll not be too much of effort and exhaustion in creating them, because that's why they are called micro moments, right? The
Yes,
small
ma'am.
ones,
No,
effortless.
I want to also share my micro moments with you.
Yes, please.
Before sharing my micro moments with you, I want to introduce myself at first. I am Mitali. I am from Kolkata only. Okay. And
Yes.
I am currently doing a course which is MSc in clinical psychology. And at present I am in third semester. I have seen the advertisements in Google about Indian counseling services, and for my own interest, I just joined the webinar. Okay, and I have very thankful you to cases as a conduct as a great session for us. And I want to share my micro moments when I spending times with childrens. Then I am feeling very happy, and whenever I get stressed in any kind of situation, then I have it to listen music. So this feels me
Yes.
very happy.
I'm so glad that you shared your moment with all of us. And
Yes, ma'am.
I'm happy that you understand what cultivating a micro moment is. So keep at
Yes,
it. Find
ma'am.
more. Okay, find more. Let's find more every day. Believe you me, there are just so many of them. It's just that we don't notice. You remember the first time that I said happiness is not something that you find. Happiness is something that you notice. If you understand the difference between finding and noticing, you've had it, you've mastered it.
And ma'am, I also was to share one thing you all. After completing my course, I have to practice freely. And in future, I want to open a clinic.
Yeah, all the best for that. Good luck to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and God bless you. I hope you're able to open your clinic and just do well.
Yes, ma'am.
All success to
Because
you.
I am fascinated about human mind. Okay, previously I was working in a bank, in a private bank in Kolkata only. ICICI Bank, it was ICICI Bank. But during my total working journey, I felt we are not engaging with our profession as well as we work in our mental health. So there is a balance, work-life balance in this corporate sector. So due to the
Mhm.
stress management thing and all, I made very curious to join this psychology course and go ahead with my psychology career in future.
That's very nice. I wish you all the best and I hope you find everything that you're looking for and may all your dreams come true. And if you
Thank you,
need,
ma'am.
yeah, and if you need any help, any guidance, do let me know.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
Uh,
Thank
thank
you, ma'am.
all
Good
right.
evening.
So
Good
much.
evening, ma'am.
Yes, hi, good evening.
Yeah, I'm a pediatric occupational therapist.
Oh,
तो
what?
या
That's wonderful.
हमारे मतलब डे बाय डे जो सेशंस रहते हैं उसमें पेरेंट्स जो भी एक छोटा सा इम्प्रूवमेंट भी जो आता है जैसे आई कांटेक्ट हो या फिर छोटा से छोटा भी इम्प्रूवमेंट आता है उसके लिए मतलब वो शेयर करते हैं कि हमारा बच्चा मतलब इतना इम्प्रूवमेंट आया वो हमारे लिए बहुत ही मतलब माइक्रो नहीं बोल सकते बहुत ही बड़ा
वो मैक्रो है डॉक्टर सुप्रीता, वो तो मैक्रो है, वो तो माइक्रो हो ही नहीं सकता.
जी
Lovely,
तो
lovely.
तो
And
ये
big progress, छोटा progress. Same here with my patients, they start maintaining a thought record. I'm so happy. अभी ठीक होने में वक्त है, but those small little steps that we take towards
यस
recovery, oh my God, they are so much more important than the final recovery.
यस
I
यस
understand. I share that experience with you, so I completely understand.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Niveda, for sharing your.
Ma'am,
Thank
I have one query. How I can get your number? If I
We can
future,
connect. I'm sorry. I that's against the protocol. I'm not allowed to share my number. But
okay, ma'am.
you could, yeah. If you want to connect with me, you could follow me on Instagram and probably you could DM me there if you have any such inquiries for future.
Okay, ma'am. Can I know your full name?
Yeah, Simran Raina Sharan.
Okay, Simran
You can
Raina
find
sir.
it on
Okay, thank
Instagram,
you,
yeah.
ma'am.
Sharan Simran. So
Okay, ma'am.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you for being so patient. And I hope that the session was worth it. I hope I could make you understand that those big happinesses, they don't lead you anywhere. They will just fade away. But these small ones, we can make every day at zero cost and zero effort. Yeah. So let's start noticing happiness and let's stop finding one. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. Enjoy your
Thank you.
evening, night. Have a good sleep. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good